The galaxy was a vast, glittering expanse of stars, planets, and mysteries waiting to be unraveled. For centuries, it had been governed by the United Galactic Council, UGC, an alliance of advanced alien species who prided themselves on their wisdom, technology, and ability to maintain peace across the cosmos. But beneath the surface of this seemingly perfect system lay cracks that were about to widen into chasms. Humans, newcomers to the interstellar stage, had only recently joined the Council after discovering faster-than-light travel. 2. Many of the older, more established species humans were like children playing with toys they didn't fully understand. They were loud, impatient, and often reckless. Yet there was no denying their brilliance. Humans brought fresh ideas, unorthodox solutions, and an insatiable curiosity that sometimes unnerved the other members of the UGC. While some aliens admired humanity's boldness, others viewed them as a nuisance, an unpredictable variable, in an otherwise orderly equation. One day something happened that shook the entire galaxy to its core. Deep in the outer reaches of space, astronomers detected a massive asteroid field drifting dangerously close to the galactic center. These weren't ordinary asteroids. They were colossal chunks of rock and metal, each one large enough to obliterate entire planets upon impact. Scientists estimated that if nothing was done, the asteroid field would collide with dozens of inhabited worlds within months. Billions of lives were at stake. News of the impending catastrophe spread quickly, causing panic among both alien populations and human colonies. Emergency meetings were convened at the UGC headquarters on Zorath 7, a shimmering planet known for its crystalline cities and diplomatic neutrality. Representatives from every member species gathered in the Grand Council chamber, where holographic projections displayed grim simulations of what would happen if the asteroid field hit. Entire civilizations would vanish. Trade routes would collapse. The very fabric of galactic society could unravel, but instead of uniting under the threat, the Council descended into chaos. Each species had its own idea of how to handle the crisis, and none of them agreed. The Varnokians, a reptilian race famous for their engineering prowess, proposed building gravity tugs, massive machines capable of pulling the asteroids off course. However, constructing such devices would require resources and time the Council didn't have. The Lumerians, ethereal beings made of light energy, suggested using controlled explosions near the asteroids to nudge them away. This plan, while promising, carried enormous risks. If even one explosion went wrong, it could shatter the asteroids into smaller fragments, making the situation worse. Then came the arguments over funding. The Krillans, insectoid creatures obsessed with efficiency, refused to allocate funds unless every possible outcome was analyzed to perfection. The Terrans, aquatic mammals with a deep distrust of militarized solutions, opposed any plan involving weapons or explosives. Hours turned into days, and days turned into weeks. Meanwhile, the asteroid field continued its relentless march toward the galactic center. Back on Earth, news of the crisis dominated headlines. People watched in disbelief as reports streamed in about the Council's inability to act. Social media buzzed with outrage. Memes mocking the UGC flooded the internet, portraying alien diplomats as bumbling bureaucrats too busy arguing to save the galaxy. Protesters gathered outside embassies of various alien nations, holding signs that read, "Stop talking, start acting, and if you won't save us, we will." Among those watching the unfolding drama was Maya Patel, a young engineer from Mumbai. Maya wasn't just any engineer, she was brilliant, driven, and fiercely independent. She had spent years working on cutting-edge projects, from designing self-sustaining habitats for Mars colonies to developing AI systems capable of predicting natural disasters. When she saw the Council's failure to address the asteroid threat, something inside her snapped. "This is insane," Maya muttered to herself late one night, staring at her computer screen. On it was a live feed of yet another Council meeting, where delegates argued over trivial details while the clock ticked down. They're wasting precious time debating when action is the only thing that matters. Maya knew she couldn't sit idly by and wait for someone else to solve the problem. Her mind raced with possibilities. What if Earth took matters into its own hands? What if humanity stepped up and proved it could handle challenges the Council couldn't? It was a crazy idea, but the more she thought about it, the more determined she became. The next morning, Maya called together a small group of friends and colleagues. There was Arjun, a robotics expert with a knack for improvisation; Elena, a physicist whose research focused on propulsion systems; and Samir, a software developer known for creating algorithms that could predict outcomes with uncanny accuracy. Together, they formed the backbone of what Maya envisioned as a grassroots effort to tackle the asteroid field. "We don't have the resources or technology the Council does," Maya admitted during their first brainstorming session. "But we have something they lack: determination. If we work together, we can come up with a solution." Over the next few days, the team worked tirelessly, sketching designs, running simulations, and gathering materials. Their plan was audacious yet simple: build a fleet of autonomous drones equipped with powerful thrusters. Each drone would latch onto an asteroid and use its engines to push the rock off course. It wasn't elegant, and it certainly wasn't foolproof, but it was feasible given Earth's limited means. As word of Maya's project spread, support began pouring in from unexpected places. Amateur engineers offered their expertise. Wealthy philanthropists donated funds. Even retired astronauts volunteered to help test prototypes. Maya's determination inspired countless others, not just on Earth, but across the galaxy. Alien observers initially dismissed her efforts as naive, but as videos of her team's progress circulated online, some began to take notice. On Zorath 7, Council members watched these developments with mixed feelings. Some saw Maya's initiative as reckless and potentially dangerous. Others, however, quietly admired her courage. One delegate, a wise old Lumerian named Silora, raised a point during a particularly heated debate. "Perhaps," she said softly, her voice resonating through the chamber, "we have much to learn from these humans. Sometimes, action speaks louder than words." Despite growing support, Maya faced immense challenges. Building the drone fleet required overcoming technical hurdles, securing raw materials, and coordinating efforts across multiple continents. Critics questioned whether her plan would work, or if it might make things worse. Yet through it all, Maya remained steadfast. She believed in her vision, and she believed in humanity's potential to rise above adversity. Unbeknownst to anyone, the seeds of change were being sown. Maya's bold move wasn't just about saving the galaxy. It was about proving that even the smallest voices could spark monumental shifts. As the asteroid field loomed ever closer, the galaxy held its collective breath, unsure whether Maya's daring plan would succeed or fail spectacularly. But one thing was certain: humanity had finally stepped onto the galactic stage, ready to show the universe what it was truly capable of. As Maya Patel and her team worked tirelessly on their audacious plan to redirect the asteroid field, the galaxy watched with a mix of fascination, skepticism, and outright disbelief. News of humanity's grassroots efforts spread like wildfire, fueled by social media posts, live broadcasts, and viral videos showcasing the determination of Earth's engineers. For the first time in galactic history, humans weren't just observers, they were taking action while the United Galactic Council, UGC, remained mired in endless debates. Maya's project quickly gained a name: Operation Asteroid Shield. The title was simple yet evocative, capturing both the urgency of the mission and its protective intent. Every day, new volunteers joined the cause, bringing skills ranging from programming to welding. Factories around the world repurposed their equipment to produce parts for the drones. Universities opened their labs for testing prototypes. Even children pitched in, organizing fundraisers and spreading awareness about the mission. It was as if all of humanity had united under one banner, a rare moment of global solidarity. The operation faced countless challenges: building autonomous drones capable of latching onto massive asteroids and altering their trajectories required precision engineering that pushed the limits of Earth's technology. Powering these drones was another hurdle. They needed compact but incredibly powerful thrusters to exert enough force on the asteroids. Elena, The physicist on Maya's core team spent sleepless nights designing a hybrid propulsion system combining chemical rockets with experimental ion engines. Her breakthrough came when she realized they could harness solar energy to extend the drone's operational lifespan. Meanwhile, Arjun focused on perfecting the drone's gripping mechanisms. Each drone had to anchor itself securely to an asteroid's uneven surface without being dislodged by collisions or gravitational forces. He experimented with magnetic clamps, adhesive pads, and even miniature drills before settling on a combination of retractable hooks and flexible tethers. "If we can't hold on tight," he joked during a late-night brainstorming session, "we'll end up floating away like space junk." Samir, the software developer, tackled perhaps the most critical aspect of the mission: programming the Asgai drones to work autonomously. With millions of asteroids hurtling through space, there was no way humans could manually control each drone. Instead, Samir developed an AI algorithm capable of analyzing real-time data from sensors, calculating optimal paths for redirection, and adjusting course mid-mission. His code included fail-safes to prevent catastrophic errors, ensuring the drones wouldn't inadvertently send an asteroid crashing into a planet instead of steering it clear. Despite these technical achievements, doubt lingered among many alien species. The UGC delegates continued to view Operation Asteroid Shield as a reckless gamble. During council meetings, some argued that humanity lacked the experience and resources to handle such a monumental task. Others dismissed the project as mere propaganda, an attempt to gain prestige at the expense of galactic stability. A few even accused Maya's team of endangering lives by interfering with official efforts. But not everyone shared this pessimistic view. Among the skeptics, a small but growing faction began to see value in Maya's initiative. Silora, the wise Lumerian who had spoken up earlier, became a quiet advocate for collaboration. She believed that humanity's boldness might complement the Council's cautious approach, creating a synergy that neither side could achieve alone. Her arguments, though met with resistance, planted seeds of doubt in the minds of some delegates. Was it possible that humans truly understood the stakes better than anyone else? Back on Earth, Maya's leadership inspired awe and admiration. She worked alongside her team, often pulling double shifts to ensure progress stayed on track. Despite her exhaustion, she made time to address the public, giving updates via live streams that reached billions across the galaxy. In one memorable broadcast, she stood in front of a partially assembled drone, her face streaked with grease but glowing with determination. "We're not doing this because we think we know better than the Council," Maya said, her voice steady, despite the enormity of the challenge. "We're doing this because we believe in action over words. If we wait for permission, we'll run out of time. So yes, fine, I'll do it myself. And so will every single person helping me." Her words resonated deeply, striking a chord with audiences far beyond Earth. On distant planets, alien citizens grew increasingly frustrated with their leaders' inability to act decisively. Protests erupted outside UGC embassies, mirroring those already happening on Earth. Signs bearing slogans like "Why wait?" and "Let humans lead" appeared in markets, squares, and virtual forums. Some aliens even began volunteering remotely, offering expertise in fields like astrophysics, materials science, and robotics. Humanity's boldness had sparked something unexpected, a galactic awakening. Among the volunteers was Zaxxon, a young Varnakian engineer whose species traditionally valued caution above all else. Zaxxon had grown disillusioned with the Council's endless deliberations and saw Maya's project as a chance to make a real difference. Using his knowledge of advanced metallurgy, he helped refine the drone's structural integrity, making them lighter yet stronger. Another volunteer, Lyra, a Terran biologist, contributed insights into how microbial life forms could be used to repair damaged drone components in space. These contributions highlighted the potential of interspecies cooperation, proving that diversity could lead to innovation. As weeks passed, Operation Asteroid Shield gained momentum. Test flights conducted in Earth's orbit demonstrated promising results. Drones successfully attached themselves to simulated asteroids, giant chunks of rock launched into space for practice and nudged them off course. Spectators cheered as footage of these trials aired live, showing humanity's ingenuity in action. Critics, however, remained vocal. They pointed out that actual asteroids were far larger, faster moving, and more unpredictable than any simulation. What worked in controlled conditions might fail spectacularly in the chaos of deep space. The Council, meanwhile, finally approved a last-minute solution of its own. After months of debate, they settled on deploying a fleet of warships armed with energy beams designed to vaporize the largest asteroids. While theoretically sound, the plan relied heavily on untested technology and required precise coordination between multiple ships. Technical glitches delayed deployment, leaving the galaxy holding its breath as the asteroid field drew ever closer. Tensions reached a boiling point when the Council announced that Operation Asteroid Shield posed a risk to their official mission. Delegates demanded that Maya halt her efforts immediately, claiming interference could jeopardize the entire operation. Maya refused. Standing before cameras once again, she addressed the Council directly. "You've had months to act and haven't," she said, her tone firm but respectful. "Now you want us to step aside? We're not stopping, not when lives are at stake. If your plan works, great, we'll celebrate together. But if it doesn't, at least we'll have tried everything we could." Her defiance ignited fierce debates across the galaxy. Some hailed Maya as a hero, praising her courage and resolve. Others condemned her as reckless, warning that her actions could doom them all. Yet amidst the controversy, one truth became undeniable. Humanity had forced the galaxy to confront its own inertia. By refusing to wait for permission, Maya had shown that sometimes taking matters into your own hands was the only way forward. As the launch date for Operation Asteroid Shield approached, anticipation reached fever pitch. Would Maya's daring plan succeed, or would the galaxy pay the price for humanity's audacity? No one knew for sure, but one thing was certain. The eyes of the cosmos were firmly fixed on Earth, watching as a small blue planet prepared to take on the greatest challenge it had ever faced. The galaxy held its breath as the launch date for Operation Asteroid Shield drew near. Maya Patel and her team worked around the clock, their exhaustion evident, but their determination unwavering. Factories across Earth hummed with activity, producing hundreds of drones each day. Engineers fine-tuned software algorithms, tested thrusters and vacuum chambers, and conducted final checks on every component. The sense of urgency was palpable. Failure wasn't an option. Meanwhile, the United Galactic Council, UGC, scrambled to prepare its own solution. A fleet of sleek warships armed with experimental energy beams stood ready at a staging area near the edge of the asteroid field. These ships represented the pinnacle of galactic technology, designed to vaporize the largest asteroids before they could threaten inhabited planets. However, technical glitches continued to plague the mission. Calibration errors caused misfires during practice runs, and communication delays between ships raised concerns about coordination. Despite these setbacks, the Council insisted its plan was foolproof, on paper at least. Tensions between humanity and the UGC reached new heights. Council delegates accused Maya's team of jeopardizing their efforts, claiming that the drones might interfere with the warship's targeting systems. They demanded that Maya delay her launch until after the Council's operation had been completed. But Maya refused to back down. She argued that time was running out, and that waiting any longer would put billions of lives at risk. "You can debate protocols all you want," she said during a press conference broadcast live across the galaxy. "But while you're arguing, those asteroids are getting closer. We're not stopping. Not now." Her words resonated with millions, perhaps billions, of beings across the galaxy. Alien citizens, frustrated by their leaders' indecision, rallied behind Maya's cause. Social media platforms buzzed with hashtags like "Humans First" and "Save the Galaxy Now." Protesters gathered outside UGC embassies, holding signs that read, "If humans can do it, why can't you?" Even some alien diplomats privately admitted that Maya's boldness had forced them to confront uncomfortable truths about their own inefficiency. Back on Earth, preparations for Operation Asteroid Shield entered their final phase. The drones were loaded onto massive cargo ships equipped with advanced navigation systems. Each drone carried a unique identification code, allowing ground control teams to monitor its progress in real time. Before liftoff, Maya addressed her team one last time. "We've done everything we can to make this work," she said, her voice steady despite the weight of what lay ahead. "Now it's up to the universe to decide. Whatever happens, know that we gave it our best shot. That's all anyone can ask of us." As the countdown began, cameras captured every moment. Spectators lined rooftops and crowded public squares, watching giant screens broadcasting the launch. Children clutched homemade flags bearing images of drones and asteroids, while adults whispered prayers or silently clenched their fists in anticipation. For many, this wasn't just a scientific mission. It was a symbol of hope, resilience, and humanity's place in the cosmos. At precisely 08 UTC, the first wave of drones launched into space. Their departure was marked by a thunderous roar as rockets propelled them beyond Earth's atmosphere. Onboard cameras transmitted breathtaking footage of the planet shrinking below, its blue oceans and swirling clouds a stark reminder of what was at stake. As the drones reached orbit, they deployed solar panels to recharge their batteries before beginning their journey toward the asteroid field. Hours later, the Council's warships also set course for the danger zone. Pilots exchanged nervous glances as they reviewed their mission parameters. While confident in their training, none of them had faced a challenge of this magnitude before. The stakes couldn't be higher. Success meant saving countless lives. Failure meant unimaginable destruction. Deep within the asteroid field, chaos reigned. Millions of rocks tumbled through space, colliding and breaking apart in unpredictable patterns. Some asteroids were as small as cars, while others dwarfed entire cities. Dust clouds obscured visibility, forcing both the drones and the warships to rely on sophisticated sensors to navigate the treacherous terrain. Maya's drones arrived first, deploying in waves to maximize coverage. Each drone locked onto an asteroid using its AI-guided targeting system, then fired its thrusters to adjust its trajectory. The process was slow and painstaking, requiring precise calculations to ensure the asteroids wouldn't veer off into another dangerous path. Early results were promising. Several large rocks shifted slightly, moving away from populated areas. Ground control erupted in cheers as data streamed in confirming the adjustments, but challenges quickly emerged. One drone malfunctioned mid-mission, losing its grip on an asteroid and drifting aimlessly. Another encountered a sudden collision, damaging its propulsion system. Back on Earth, engineers scrambled to troubleshoot these issues remotely, uploading patches to stabilize the affected units. Despite these hiccups, the majority of the drones performed admirably, proving that humanity's ingenuity could withstand the harsh realities of space. The Council's warships arrived soon after, positioning themselves strategically to target the largest asteroids. Energy beams pulsed brightly as they fired, attempting to vaporize the rocks into harmless fragments. Initial tests showed promise, with several massive asteroids disintegrating under the intense heat. However, complications arose almost immediately. One beam overshot its mark, narrowly missing a nearby drone. Another ship experienced a power surge, temporarily disabling its weapon system. Communication channels crackled with panicked voices as pilots struggled to adapt to the rapidly changing environment. Despite their differences, both operations began to overlap in unexpected ways. Maya's drones inadvertently cleared paths for the warships, allowing them to focus on larger threats without worrying about smaller debris. In turn, the warship's destruction of certain asteroids reduced the overall density of the field, making it easier for the drones to maneuver. Though neither side acknowledged it publicly, their combined efforts created a synergy that neither could have achieved alone. On Earth, Maya monitored the situation closely, her eyes glued to screens displaying real-time updates. Her heart raced as she watched the drones and warships work together, often separated by mere kilometers in the vast expanse of space. She knew the mission was far from over, but for the first time, she allowed herself a flicker of optimism. Perhaps, she thought, this crisis could teach the galaxy something valuable about cooperation, even when it came from unlikely places. Alien observers shared similar sentiments. Across the galaxy, beings who had once dismissed humans as reckless, amateurs now marveled at their resourcefulness. Silora, the Lumerian delegate, voiced her admiration during a council meeting. "Perhaps we underestimated these humans," she said softly, her luminescent form shimmering with quiet conviction. "Their courage reminds us that sometimes action is more important than perfection." As the hours ticked by, the battle against the asteroid field intensified. Both Maya's drones and the Council's warships pushed themselves to their limits, navigating a deadly labyrinth of tumbling rocks and dust clouds. Failures occurred. Some drones ran out of power, and a few warships suffered critical damage, but successes mounted too. Slowly but surely, the tide began to turn. Yet uncertainty lingered. Would the combined efforts of humanity and the Council be enough to avert disaster? Or would the sheer scale of the asteroid field overwhelm even their best intentions? No one knew for sure, but one thing was clear. The galaxy had never witnessed such a monumental effort to save itself. And at the center of it all stood Maya Patel, a young engineer from Earth, proving that sometimes taking matters into your own hands could change the course of history, not just for one species, but for an entire universe. The galaxy watched in awe and anxiety as Operation Asteroid Shield entered its most critical phase. Both Maya Patel's drones and the United Galactic Council's warships were now fully engaged, working tirelessly to redirect or destroy the massive asteroid field hurtling toward the galactic center. Time was running out, and every second counted. The stakes had never been higher. Failure meant catastrophic destruction for countless planets and civilizations. Maya's team back on. Earth worked around the clock, their eyes glued to monitors displaying real-time data from the drones. Each screen showed a different aspect of the mission: asteroid trajectories, drone statuses, energy levels, and collision risks. Despite their exhaustion, there was no room for error. Every decision they made could mean the difference between success and disaster. The drones, though small compared to the gargantuan asteroids, proved surprisingly effective. Their thrusters burned steadily as they nudged rocks off course inch by painstaking inch. Some asteroids shifted just enough to avoid populated areas, while others were redirected into empty regions of space where they posed no threat. Ground control erupted in cheers whenever a particularly large asteroid was successfully diverted. But challenges continued to arise. One drone lost power after being struck by debris, leaving it adrift in space. Another became entangled in a dense cluster of smaller rocks, unable to break free. Engineers scrambled to upload patches and recalibrate systems, doing everything possible to keep the fleet operational. Meanwhile, the Council's warships faced their own set of problems. While their energy beams were powerful, they required precise targeting to avoid creating new hazards. Vaporizing an asteroid too close to another could send fragments spiraling unpredictably, potentially worsening the situation. Pilots struggled to maintain focus under immense pressure, their hands trembling as they adjusted coordinates and fired beams. Technical glitches persisted, with some ships experiencing overheating weapons or temporary communication blackouts. Despite these setbacks, the warships managed to eliminate several key threats, reducing the overall density of the asteroid field. What truly amazed observers across the galaxy was how both efforts began to complement each other. Maya's drones cleared paths through smaller debris, allowing the warships to focus on larger targets without interference. In turn, the warship's destruction of massive asteroids reduced the gravitational pull affecting nearby rocks, making it easier for the drones to maneuver. Though neither side openly acknowledged the collaboration, their combined actions created a synergy that neither could have achieved alone. On Earth, Maya stood at the heart of the operation, her face pale, but resolute. She hadn't slept in over 24 hours, surviving on coffee and sheer determination. Her team relied on her leadership, and she refused to let them, or the galaxy, down. When a particularly stubborn asteroid resisted redirection, despite multiple drone attempts, Maya stepped forward to take charge. "We need to think outside the box," she said, addressing her team. "This isn't just about brute force anymore. We have to use physics to our advantage." Her solution involved positioning several drones strategically around the asteroid to create a synchronized push. By firing their thrusters simultaneously, the drones generated enough force to alter the rock's trajectory significantly. It was risky. The drones would expend nearly all their remaining fuel, but it worked. As the asteroid slowly veered away from danger, ground control erupted in applause. For a brief moment, Maya allowed herself a smile before turning back to the next challenge. Across the galaxy, alien citizens followed the drama unfold with bated breath. Holographic news broadcasts showed live footage of drones latching onto asteroids and warships, unleashing dazzling beams of energy. Commentators analyzed every move, speculating on whether humanity's boldness or the Council's precision would prove more effective. Social media buzzed with reactions ranging from admiration to skepticism. Some praised Maya's ingenuity, calling her a hero. Others criticized the Council for relying too heavily on untested technology. Yet everyone agreed on one thing. This was the most thrilling spectacle the galaxy had ever witnessed. Even within the UGC, opinions began to shift. Delegates who had once dismissed Maya's project as reckless now grudgingly admitted that her initiative had forced them to act faster than they otherwise might have. Silora, the Lumerian delegate, used the opportunity to advocate for greater cooperation between humans and other species. Perhaps, she said during a heated council meeting, this crisis has shown us that we are stronger together than apart. Let us learn from humanity's courage and adaptability. Despite the growing respect for Maya's team, tensions remained high. The Council still viewed Operation Asteroid Shield as a potential liability, fearing that malfunctioning drones could interfere with their carefully planned operations. They issued repeated warnings to Maya's team, urging them to stand down and let the warships handle the remaining threats. But Maya ignored their demands, knowing that halting her mission would leave countless asteroids unchecked. "You can warn us all you want," she told reporters during a brief interview, "but we're not stopping until every last asteroid is accounted for. If your ships can finish the job, great, but we're not taking any chances." As the hours passed, the asteroid field began to thin noticeably. Large sections had been redirected or destroyed, leaving behind only scattered clusters of rocks. However, the biggest challenge still loomed ahead: a colossal asteroid nicknamed Behemoth by Maya's team. Measuring several kilometers across, it was the largest and most dangerous threat in the entire field. Its sheer size made it resistant to both drone pushes and energy beams. If left unchecked, Behemoth would obliterate multiple planets upon impact. The Council convened an emergency meeting to discuss strategies for dealing with Behemoth. After much debate, they decided to deploy their most advanced warship, the Zorath Vanguard, equipped with a prototype weapon called the Quantum Disruptor. Designed to destabilize an object's molecular structure, the disruptor had never been tested in combat. Success was uncertain, but it was their best, and possibly only, hope. At the same time, Maya devised her own plan. Using data collected from previous missions, she identified weak points on Behemoth's surface where concentrated thrusts might cause fractures. She ordered a squadron of drones to position themselves at these points and fire their engines simultaneously. The goal wasn't to destroy the asteroid outright, but to weaken it enough for the Council's disruptor to finish the job. When the moment came, the galaxy held its collective breath. The Zorath Vanguard approached Behemoth cautiously, its crew tense but focused. At the designated signal, Maya's drones ignited their thrusters, creating deep fissures along the asteroid's surface. Dust and debris erupted into space as the rock groaned under the stress. Moments later, the warship fired its quantum disruptor, enveloping Behemoth in a blinding flash of light. For a few agonizing seconds, nothing happened. Then, with a deafening roar, Behemoth shattered into thousands of fragments. The explosion sent shockwaves rippling through the asteroid field, scattering smaller rocks harmlessly into the void. Cheers erupted aboard the warship and in ground control rooms across Earth. Against all odds, the impossible had been achieved. Back on Earth, Maya sank into a chair, tears streaming down her face. Exhaustion washed over her, but so did an overwhelming sense of relief. Her team surrounded her, hugging and congratulating each other. Across the planet, celebrations broke out as news of the victory spread. Fireworks lit up the night sky, and crowds gathered in streets and squares chanting Maya's name. In the days that followed, the galaxy reflected on what had transpired. Humanity's daring initiative had not only saved countless lives, but also challenged long-held assumptions about leadership and cooperation. Aliens who had once viewed humans as reckless amateurs now saw them as equals, capable of innovation, determination, and sacrifice. Maya Patel became a symbol of hope and resilience, inspiring generations to come. Yet even as the galaxy celebrated, questions lingered. What lessons had been learned? Could the UGC adapt to embrace the kind of bold action Maya had demonstrated? And most importantly, how would humanity's newfound role in galactic affairs shape the future? Only time would tell. But one thing was certain. The galaxy would never forget the day when humans looked at an insurmountable challenge, rolled up their sleeves and said, "Fine, I'll do it myself." The galaxy exhaled a collective sigh of relief as the asteroid field veered safely away from inhabited planets, sparing billions of lives. The crisis that had once seemed insurmountable was finally over, thanks to the combined efforts of Maya, Patel's drones, and the United Galactic Council's warships. Yet as celebrations erupted across Earth and beyond, the aftermath of the event revealed deeper truths about unity, courage, and humanity's place in the cosmos. On Earth, jubilation knew no bounds. Cities were alive with fireworks lighting up the night sky, while streets overflowed with cheering crowds holding banners that read, "Thank you, Maya," and "Humans saved the galaxy." News outlets replayed footage of Behemoth's destruction, on loop, capturing the moment when humanity's ingenuity and determination triumphed against overwhelming odds. For many, it wasn't just a victory for Earth. It was a testament to what could be achieved when people came together for a common cause. Maya Patel became an overnight icon, not just on her home planet, but throughout the galaxy. Her interviews flooded in from alien journalists eager to understand how a young engineer from Mumbai had spearheaded such a monumental effort. When asked about her motivations, Maya simply smiled and said, "I didn't do this alone. This was a team effort, humanity's effort. We proved that even when others hesitate, we can take action and make a difference." Her humility only added to her appeal. Across alien worlds, beings who had once dismissed humans as reckless amateurs now saw them in a new light. Maya's leadership inspired respect and admiration, qualities rarely associated with humanity before. Social media platforms buzzed with hashtags like Psychon Human Heroes and Galactic Unity, reflecting a shift in perception. Aliens shared memes depicting Maya standing tall beside council delegates, symbolizing humanity's rise to prominence. But the impact went beyond mere admiration. Operation Asteroid Shield forced the United Galactic Council, UGC, to confront uncomfortable truths about its own inefficiency. For months, they had debated endlessly, paralyzed by bureaucracy and fear of failure. In contrast, Maya and her team acted decisively, driven by necessity rather than protocol. Their success highlighted the value of boldness and adaptability, qualities often overlooked in favor of caution and tradition. Silora, the Lemurian delegate, seized the opportunity to push for reform within the council. During a post-crisis meeting, she addressed her fellow delegates with quiet authority. "This crisis has shown us that our current methods are inadequate," she said, her luminescent form glowing softly under the chamber's lights. "We must learn from humanity's example, to act swiftly, collaborate openly, and embrace innovation. If we do not change, we risk losing the trust of those we serve." Her words struck a chord, sparking heated debates among council members. Some resisted the idea of adopting a more human-like approach, fearing it would undermine their authority. Others recognized the need for change, acknowledging that the old ways had nearly cost the galaxy everything. Slowly but surely, discussions began about restructuring the council to prioritize efficiency and inclusivity. a direct result of Maya's influence. For humanity, the aftermath of the crisis marked a turning point. No longer viewed as newcomers or outsiders, humans earned a seat at the galactic table. Delegations from various alien species traveled to Earth to express gratitude and explore opportunities for collaboration. Scientific exchanges flourished as humans shared their drone technology, while aliens introduced advanced materials and energy solutions. The mutual exchange of knowledge strengthened bonds between species, fostering a sense of shared purpose. Back on Earth, Maya found herself thrust into the role of ambassador, a position she hadn't sought but embraced wholeheartedly. She traveled across the galaxy, speaking at conferences, meeting foreign dignitaries and advocating for greater cooperation between species. Her speeches emphasized the importance of teamwork, reminding audiences that no single group held all the answers. "We're stronger together," she often said. "When we combine our strengths, there's nothing we can't achieve." Despite her newfound fame, Maya remained grounded. She continued working alongside her original team, refining Operation Asteroid Shield's technology for future use. The drones, though instrumental in saving the galaxy, still had room for improvement. With funding from both Earth governments and alien benefactors, Maya's team developed next-generation models capable of handling larger threats with greater precision. These advancements positioned humanity as leaders in planetary defense, earning them contracts to protect other worlds from similar dangers. As weeks turned into months, the galaxy settled into a new rhythm. The asteroid crisis had left lasting scars, but it also planted seeds of hope. On Zorath 7, the Council implemented reforms aimed at streamlining decision-making processes and encouraging cross-species partnerships. For the first time, human representatives joined council meetings, bringing fresh perspectives and innovative ideas. Their presence challenged traditional hierarchies, forcing older species to adapt to a rapidly changing landscape. Alien citizens, too, felt the ripple effects of the crisis. Many grew disillusioned with their leaders' inability to act decisively, leading to protests and calls for accountability. Inspired by Maya's example, grassroots movements sprang up across the galaxy, demanding transparency and action on issues ranging from climate change to interstellar trade disputes. Humanity's audacity had sparked a cultural shift, empowering ordinary beings to challenge the status quo and demand better governance. Yet, amidst the progress, challenges remained. Not everyone welcomed humanity's rise to prominence. Some alien factions resented the attention humans received, accusing them of hogging resources and overshadowing other species. Tensions occasionally flared, particularly in regions where competition for power ran high. But these conflicts served as reminders that unity required constant effort, a lesson Maya took to heart. One evening, as Maya stood gazing at the stars from her balcony, she reflected on how far they'd come. Just months ago, humanity had been outsiders struggling to prove themselves. Now they were key players in shaping the galaxy's future. It was a humbling thought, one that filled her with pride and responsibility. "You've changed the universe, you know," Arjun said, joining her outside. He held 2 cups of steaming tea, offering one to Maya. She chuckled, taking the cup gratefully. "Not me," she replied. "All of us. Together." Arjun nodded, his expression thoughtful. "Still, you started it, and look where we are now." Maya sipped her tea, letting the warmth spread through her tired body. She thought about the countless lives saved, the bridges built between species, and the possibilities stretching ahead. There was still so much work to be done, but for the first time she felt hopeful. "Do you think we'll ever stop arguing and really unite?" she asked after a pause. Arjun shrugged. "Probably not completely, but maybe that's okay. Maybe. The arguing is part of growing. As long as we keep trying to understand each other, we'll get closer." Maya smiled, feeling a renewed sense of purpose. The galaxy was far from perfect, but it was moving forward, one step at a time. And if humanity's actions during the asteroid crisis taught anything, it was that even the smallest voices could spark monumental change. As the stars twinkled above, Maya silently promised herself, and the galaxy that she would continue, fighting for a better future. Because sometimes when faced with impossible odds, all it took was someone willing to say, "Fine, I'll do it myself," and in doing so, inspire an entire universe to follow.